Welcome back to Ballbusters Podcast. I'm Danny. I'm here with your co-host Dan Studer. Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Danny. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. And our other co-host Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Chilling. What about you?
I'm good, man. Unfortunately, we have to start with some bad news today. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Tiger Woods, who unfortunately got in a
Yes,
big car accident.
very unfortunate news. You never like to see this happen to anybody. Very unfortunate to happen to one of the greatest in the sport of golf, such as with it being Tiger Woods. Um, his agent Mark Steinberg, in a statement earlier, said that it was in a single car accident. So it almost makes you hope that you wish that he wasn't under the influence or anything. You hate to see that happen, and you know we don't know a lot as of 2:40 p.m. here on Tuesday, the 23rd. He was in surgery, and his car that he was in suffered major damage. A helicopter said that it was, or a view from a helicopter said that the car was on its side with the airbags deployed. But luckily, a police source said that his injuries were not thought to be life threatening.
Yeah, there's a little bit of good news coming out of that with Tiger Woods not being in life-threatening condition as long as surgery goes well. Story's still breaking. We don't want to assume anything. We just want to hope that Tiger Woods is okay.
Especially
Um,
with a time like this, it's about being right, not about being first.
exactly. We don't want to be down this whole episode. We're gonna get right into the talk, and today we're gonna start with football. Getting super close to NFL free agency. So I have an idea. We should say where we think some of the top free agents are gonna go. Let's start with a quarterback. A lot of people are underestimating his value this offseason. Dak Prescott coming off a franchise tag, a huge leg injury at the beginning of the season. Where do you guys think he's going to end up? Are you think the Cowboys are going to resign him? Personally, I think he might get a franchise tag again or sign a short-term deal. I don't think they're going to sign him long-term, or if they do, he's not going to accept the money that they offer.
I believe Dak Prescott's going to stay a Dallas Cowboy. I think he's going to receive, if he does get a long-term deal, I believe 25 to 30 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
But a franchise tag, I wouldn't count it out. I feel like Jerry Jones is going to pull that out of his bag again and tag up Dak until he proves that he could be an elite quarterback coming back from this terrible injury.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dak Prescott had an amazing start to the year, as we all know.
He did.
He led the league in passing yards and touchdowns like well after he was injured. So, I mean, just having that kind of start to the season proves that he does have the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You just got to see how he bounces back.
I feel like he's too much of a fan favorite in Dallas, even within the organization, not just the fans. I feel like everybody there loves him, and it was a very serious injury, and you never know how a player is going to come back from that, but you can't let just this one injury make the Dallas Cowboys want to give up on Dak Prescott. I feel like they re-sign him.
I 100% agree. You can never give up on an elite quarterback. It's one of the most important. It's the most important position in football. Um, Another one. I don't think this one's much of argument. Chris Godwin, receiver for the Bucks, during the Super Bowl celebration, Bruce Arians told him he's not going anywhere. So I think maybe worst case scenario, it's a franchise tag for Godwin for the year, and the Bucks try to run it back.
Well, receivers, that's a big what if because many teams are in need of wide receiver. I know Baltimore's looking for one to pair up with Lamar Jackson. I don't know if Chris Godwin's the fit there, even though he did play a crucial part in winning the Super Bowl for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe Godwin, there's a big chance he's going to stay, but you never know.
Yeah, I think that Chris Godwin of your Penn State Nittany Lions, I think he stays in Tampa Bay. I feel like he's got a good thing going on with Tom Brady, and I mean they just have an elite 1-2 punch of wide receivers when it comes to him and Mike Evans, and I feel like Tampa's going to do whatever it takes to be able to keep them.
Yeah, don't count out Scotty Miller too. Scotty Miller coming off a great year. Definitely a great deep threat weapon for Tom Brady. Another receiver, Allen Robinson. There's a lot of talk of him getting franchise tagged and traded this offseason. The Bears could really use offensive line, and we got a Bears fan on this podcast. Bears could use an offensive tackle, and there's a lot of talk of A-Rob getting tagged and traded to the Ravens for Orlando Brown. Matt, how you feeling about that, man?
Obviously, as a Bears fan, I love Allen Robinson. He single-handedly won us some games this season. I would not want him to go, but as a Bears fan, we do need offensive tackles. Orlando Brown would be crucial to this team. We do have Darnell Mooney, who's a great, promising young rookie, but other than that, our receiving core is pretty thin. Javon Wims is on the hot seat along with Anthony Miller. Allen Robinson, I would love to have him, but for the whole overall team, I don't think he's going to stay.
There was also reports that came out today. Allen Robinson said that he hasn't heard from the Bears since the end of the season, since the end of the regular season. So that's not sounding very promising for Allen Robinson's chances to be a Bear next year.
Yeah, that doesn't exactly surprise me. I feel like you got to take a look at Allen Robinson, and I feel like he was a very underrated wide receiver this season. I feel like he put up numbers better than anybody had anticipated on him doing so.
100% agree.
And I feel like because of that, he's going to want a big contract. And I feel like the Bears are they're not in win now mode. They're like right at that stage right before. And we clearly saw with them making the playoffs at finishing at 8-8. And I feel like them taking on the contract of Robinson, which I feel like you can assume is going to be, that's going to be a pretty penny to pay for him. I feel like that's not what they need right now. And I get it. The wide receiving core is thin, but I feel like that's not really what they need to build on right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like Matt said, you got Darnell Mooney, drafted him out of the 5th round this year. Definitely got over expectations. Didn't really expect him to come in and put up the numbers that he did, being one of the best receivers in the draft class. I mean, if you redrafted today, he might be a 1st-round pick, might be a 2nd-round pick, way over the 5th that he got taken. So it definitely brings a lot of uncertainty.
Just another wide receiver out of Pennsylvania State University.
Yeah. Dan, we know you go to Penn State. We get it.
Okay, and just in case you guys forgot,
Yeah, he's a Nittany.
Yeah.
Another receiver. This could probably be the last receiver that we talk about for a minute. Kenny Golladay. The Detroit Lions can kind of assume that he's not going to be there next year with the Lions trading Matt Stafford. It doesn't look like they're going to be in a position to win anything. And Kenny Galladay's getting up there in age, probably wants to go to a contender. I can definitely see him signing with the Ravens. Ravens have some money to work, and Galladay's not going to be a super expensive free agent to sign this year.
I believe that Kenny Golladay is going to go to the Packers as he's familiar with the division. Aaron Rodgers needs a weapon desperately. He needs a 1-2 punch with Adams and Golladay would be a great fit. I think the Packers spend and bring him to the squad.
It's also very possible. I can see that happening.
I don't have a specific team in mind, but I definitely don't see him going back to Detroit. It's getting tougher and tougher nowadays to keep any player that's on the Lions in Detroit. Matt, that was a really good point that you brought up with staying within the division. Danny, when you had brought up Baltimore, I mean, I feel like that's definitely a position that they could use somebody strong at, but I feel like staying within the division would be the best idea.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. NFC North, in recent years, it's been kind of just overpowered by the Packers. You have the Bears there. Bears are a great team, but they just haven't really been able to put it together. But Kenny Golladay going to the Packers is definitely a big possibility.
It also comes down to who's got the bigger wallet.
That's very true. Packers do not have money to spend. The cap came out the other day. Packers are a few mil over the cap. So we'll have to see what kind of moves are made. I definitely think a lot of players are going to get cut this year to make up room. But we'll see. There's going to be a lot more free agents than anything. Moving to the offensive line, Trent Williams. He's a free agent this year. He's one of the best tackles in football, but he's also 32 years old. So, you never know where he's going to end up. I think probably the best fit for him is to re-sign with the Niners, but you never know.
Never know. The Bengals could be a big push. They need to protect Joe Burrow at all costs.
Yeah, but the Bengals
available. I'd put the bag and spend on him.
Bengals are definitely a player for him, but the Bengals are definitely in position to draft Penei Sewell in the draft. Easily the best tackle in the draft right now. Super raw, but also the upside is there. You need to protect Joe Burrow at all costs. I just don't think they spend their money on Trent Williams. I think they move it elsewhere, but it's definitely good landing space for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco decided to re-sign him. I mean, they didn't have they obviously didn't have the season that they were looking for after, being the NFC championships after being the NFC champions last season. They had a tough season this year with injuries. And so I feel like they almost were ready to throw the towel in pretty early and were ready to focus on next season. And I feel like he could be a big part of that team next season to get them back to that NFC championship game.
Yeah, I completely agree. If they can be healthy, they can definitely run it back. They're also in position to draft a quarterback in this draft, which Jimmy Garoppolo has not panned out for them in the way that you would think. Coming from that New England scheme, you would think he's going to be a great quarterback, but can't really get the ball down the field like that. They've been relying on the run game.
Do we know what pick they have? Do they have a first round pick?
They do have a first round pick. Let me check super fast.
Also, talking about Garoppolo, it's even hard for him to stay on the field, dealing with tons of injuries.
That's very true.
And along the defense, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 49ers easily back in the playoffs next year if Bosa comes back healthy, along with the quarterback.
Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert was rattled with injuries this year. Yeah. They have the 12th pick in the draft.
They've got the 12th overall pick in the draft this year.
Yes. So they're definitely in position to draft a quarterback like Trey Lance, who I think is he did not play for a huge school this year, but also the arm talent is obviously there. You watch his games, you watch his footage. He can get the ball down the field. He has a cannon. He's very accurate. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class by far. I think if he's on the board for the Niners to draft, you take him.
I mean, do you think that they can? I'm not familiar with what picks they have in other rounds, but do you think they can afford to maybe not pick a quarterback this year with the first round pick and maybe focus on a secondary pick?
I mean,
that 12th overall selection.
Yeah, they could definitely focus on some defense. They have a great defense, but can never upgrade a secondary too much. Mac Jones might be available in the second round for them, but I think he after the Senior Bowl, he probably moved his stock up to probably a late first round pick.
Probably.
I
would say mid. Earliest would probably be mid first round.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see 5 quarterbacks going in the first half of the first round. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
I mean, my prediction is 4 quarterbacks in the top 10, which is still crazy. But also, this is a very quarterback heavy draft. Quarterback and offensive line.
Who are you thinking for those 4? Fields, Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence definitely going number 1 to the Jaguars. No, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson.
Going to.
Oh, Wilson, yeah.
I think Zach Wilson's going to get drafted by the Jets. Number 2.
Really?
I think he's a way better talent than Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields, don't get me wrong, he's a great quarterback. He played very good this season, but I think Zach Wilson had a way better end to the season and probably pick fatigue. Justin Fields was ranked number 2 the whole year. The Jets could come out and be like, this guy's just picking him apart. This guy has this, and that, not as good of his game as Zach Wilson, So I think Zach Wilson, if he doesn't get drafted by the Jets, he can go to the Falcons and play a year behind Matt Ryan, like a little Patrick Mahomes situation. But also Trey Lance could be a top 10 pick. The Panthers are desperately in need of a quarterback. There's other teams in the top 10 that could take a quarterback.
Can you imagine if for some reason Jacksonville, I highly doubt it, but can you imagine if somehow Lawrence falls to number 2 to the Jets because Jacksonville takes Mac Jones at number 1 because he's a hometown kid?
There's absolutely no way.
No way. But
Mac Jones is
one of those. It's one of those hypothetical situations, like.
Yeah, I feel you, but there's no way.
I believe Mac Jones is going to fall into the 19 to 20 area. I mean, the Washington football team definitely needs a quarterback. I mean,
they re-signed Chad Henne. I think they might rock with Henne for the season.
Do they really think that Chad Henne is the future of the football?
Or Heineke. My bad. I mean Taylor Heineke, not Chad Henne.
That's right. He was on the
win against the Buccaneers, but then again, adding Mac Jones maybe to some competition, you never know with bringing in a guy like Heineke. One good game doesn't really define his whole career.
Yeah, but a good game in the playoffs is definitely valuable.
Definitely impressive. I'd still look.
But was Heineke's game against Tampa Bay even a full game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a full game. The
It was a
Alex
full
Smith.
game. I don't know why
Alex Smith was
started.
out. Alex Smith was out with I believe it was an ankle injury. Or a lower,
that's
or
right.
a lower foot injury.
It was and it was on the same leg. I think, what was it?
Yeah,
That,
it was the same
right
leg that it was the same leg that he broke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the opposite leg actually.
Was it? Well, either way, he was out with a leg injury, and Heineke started the whole game. Played very good. Almost beat the Buccaneers, the eventual Super Bowl champ Buccaneers. So, but we could definitely talk about the draft later next week when getting closer to draft time. But next guy, Justin Simmons had easily the best year of his career. He was all-pro second team. I think it would be absolutely insane if the Broncos don't re-sign him to a big deal, being one of the best safeties in the league this coming season or this past season. But what do you guys think? How are you guys feeling about Justin Simmons?
I believe Simmons is going to receive a bag from the Broncos. It'd be stupid not to re-sign him.
Absolute bag, yeah.
$90 million over 5 years.
I could definitely see that.
Very, very nice deal. As
I think
a lot of help.
I think maybe like an 80 mil, but like 40 guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a very big deal. And like I said before, you can never have too much secondary help in this league.
Exactly.
The Broncos can't afford to weaken this spot, especially with how weak they already are in the quarterback game. I feel like you need to put as much money into this as you can, and then with whatever you've got left, you need to go out and get yourself a good quarterback. The Broncos really aren't that far away. They're not as close. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily as close as a team like the Bears are, but I feel like they're definitely close.
It's debatable because there's a lot of reports that they're going to release Von Miller and just go full rebuild mode. I don't think Drew Lock is the answer. As much as I love him as a player, I just don't think he has the arm talent to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
But I know that they've got a decent wide receiver game.
They have a great receiver core with Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy. It's just a great receiver core. But and they're
at tight end.
Of course, no fan, insane. But yeah, I mean, receivers
Von Miller being at age 31, I don't expect him to be re-signed. So it doesn't surprise me that the Broncos are going to choose those actions.
Exactly,
especially
but also
with what he's going through with scandals about. I'm not going to get into it, but he is going through some scandals.
I mean, I think we all know what's going on with Von Miller's personal life.
Yeah.
We can move on from that. But I don't think a good receiving core matters without a good quarterback. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers proved that this past season. That hurts, but
that's gotta hurt you, doesn't it, Danny?
Yeah, it does. From one safety to another, Anthony Harris is a free agent, coming off a pretty solid year. Not a bad year for the I believe he was a Minnesota Viking.
That is true.
But it looks like the prediction is the Cleveland Browns could pursue him. They could really use a safety on the right side of the field. They just drafted Grant Delpit in the second round. Playing Anthony Harris on the opposite side of him, I think that'd be a great pickup for the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns are a great team, and just adding more depth would just help them. Almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who ended up making the Super Bowl, but losing Tom Brady, of course. The Cleveland Browns, I wouldn't count them out to make a Super Bowl in the next 2-3 years. I think Harris and building to the draft, maybe some other players, Cleveland could get a title someday.
I mean, you think about the Browns team, like all their best players are still very young. Myles Garrett still in his mid-20s, and he's one of the best defensive players in football right now. Baker Mayfield having a great season this past year, especially with the receiver injuries that he had. Having to play games with practice squad receivers as your starters. He was put in a tough position and still had a great season. I mean, as a Steelers fan, I still think the Browns are the best team in the AFC North. They're the team to beat right now.
100%.
Dan, what do you think? What do you think Anthony Harris is going?
Not much really to add to that. Cleveland, I feel like would be a pretty good fit, but I feel like you two pretty much covered up some of the major points really that there are to say about that.
All right. Let's get into the big debate here. JJ Watt, as we all know, recently released by the Houston Texans. There's a lot of reports about the Steelers, the Packers, the Browns. He can basically go anywhere in football this year. Tampa Bay, he can go anywhere that. However, there's a lot of reports that are saying teams would have to offer him significant amount more money and years than the Steelers would to pry him away from Pittsburgh, because he has said He does want to play with his brothers in Pittsburgh because the age of TJ they couldn't play together in high school in any kind of level of football. But what do you guys think? Where do you think JJ is going?
I think JJ Watt, any team that adds him, is getting a competitor. The only thing you have to worry about is injuries, but JJ just plays hard, and when he is healthy, just plays amazing. I think, as you said, the Packers would be a great fit, Cleveland, the Steelers, of course. I think any team that adds JJ is getting a significant boost to their defense, 100%.
I can't think of any one team in specifics. I mean, obviously Cleveland's got to be in that win now mentality, and JJ Watt can definitely push them over that line. Is seeing how far they got into the playoffs. It's tough to pin him to one specific team, but any team that gets him, you're getting a player with a lot of class and a hardworking player who comes up to plays, every snap that he can, and he doesn't give up.
I completely agree with that. I mean, he's fought through injuries his whole career. I believe he's won NFL Man of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year before. There was a hurricane hit Texas one time a few years ago, and he raised more money than his contract was worth for that year through GoFundMe, right. And he donated it all to relief funds. And no matter what organization gets him, you're getting a stand-up guy in JJ Watt.
You're getting a guy who's great both on the field and off, who's just great for the community.
Exactly. And an amazing locker room guy. He's been one of the best defensive players of all time while healthy. Even if the injuries are taking him off the field, you still have him in the locker room to rally up the guys.
Definitely. Big morale booster.
Exactly. Next, we're going to go with two linebackers from Tampa that are probably expected to get very big contracts. Shaq Barrett and Levante David, who both had great Super Bowls coming off amazing campaigns this past season. I think Tampa would love to have them both back, but realistically, money-wise, I don't know if that's possible. What do you guys think is going to happen with them?
I believe neither of them stay on Buccaneers.
Wow.
Shaq Barrett is insane. I think he's getting a very hefty deal, putting up multiple sacks in Super Bowl, I believe.
Definitely pressured Patrick Mahomes about every play because they had no offensive line.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He had Mahomes running in circles. But
I could probably have blocked better for Patrick Mahomes, and I am 6 foot and about 150 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs had no help. But moving on to these linebackers in the Buccaneers, I think David is aging. I think there's a chance he could stay a Buccaneer, but you never know. Multiple teams that are contending can give him around $10 million a year, which is definitely good for him. But when it comes to Shaq Barrett, he's definitely in $15 towards $20 million a year.
Yeah. Levante David is 31 years old. I think Levante probably would re-sign with Tampa, but Shaq Barrett's just going to go where the money goes. Exactly. With coming off the kind of season he had, it's going to be hard to turn down the guaranteed money that he's going to get.
100%.
Yeah, especially being 31 years old, you're probably going to be signing probably one of maybe the last two contracts that you'll sign in your career. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa at least offered, but who knows how much they'll have to offer with some of these other players that they have to pay. But I can't really think of any specific team in which these guys may go. But I guess I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they didn't wind up re-signing with Tampa Bay.
Shaq Barrett had the third highest pressure rate among edge rushers this season. And that's having guys like TJ Watt off the edge who had an amazing year and he was the third best pass rusher pressure-wise. But also Tampa Bay has to look to pay Godwin, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, and Ndamukong Suh. So it's going to be an interesting offseason to say the least for that team. And our final guy here, I don't think he's one of the top free agents. However, he is one that must be talked about. Juju SmithSchuster. He might be the Steelers' best receiver right now. Coming off the kind of season he had, you never know how much he's going to get paid. As a Steelers fan, I'd love for him to come back. He's my favorite player in the league. Always has been since he got drafted. But realistically, I don't see him turning down the money that the Jets are going to offer him. Jets have said that they might rock with Sam Darnold this year, might not draft a quarterback. you definitely need receiver help. Trading for or signing Allen Robinson and Juju, or trading for Allen Robinson and getting Juju, signing 2 receivers is a must this offseason for the Jets. So I don't think that they turned down offering Juju a bunch of money.
Yeah, I totally agree with Juju. I don't know if he's a better dancer than he is a receiver, but
It's probably not.
I think the Jets could offer him a good deal, and I don't think he could turn away the bright side of New York City. I think he's going to become a Jet this season.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow managed to stay in Pittsburgh if he took whatever contract it was that they were willing to give him. But it also doesn't surprise me if Juju went where the money was. But do you think Juju is ready to handle that New York media?
I think Juju's definitely ready. Juju's a great guy. I've met him once. Signed my helmet for me. I was very happy about that. Juju's a great guy. I think he can definitely handle media. He had to this whole season. Media was always on top of him for some reason. Probably his dancing.
Oh yeah.
But Juju's a great guy. He's a great on-field player. He's gonna get paid what he deserves. But with the Steelers having Mike Hilton, Cam Sutton, Bud Dupree, Juju Smith-Schuster as free agents this year, Alejandro Villanueva, it's gonna be hard for the Steelers to make money while we're still 15 mil over the cap. So we can't sign anybody at this point in time. But it's gonna be hard. I would love Juju to come back. Juju's mom has said that she believes Juju should re-sign with Steelers. But you never know what can happen. That's why free agency is the most fun part of the year.
Not surprised that his mother wants him to do that. You always want to try to stay with the team that first gave you that chance for as long as you can.
Yeah, 100% agree. Every team, every player has said that they would like to play for the team that drafted them for the whole career. You get drafted, you say, this is my team forever, but then you never know how it ends. But I believe that's all the time we have for football talk today. We're going to move over to basketball. All right, guys, we're going to talk some basketball now. We're going to do some surprises this season. Surprising teams, surprising players, surprising performances, maybe. Matt, how you been feeling about this season so far? With all the coronavirus stuff going on.
I think it's been a great season. Even with COVID going around, as a fantasy user, it does get frustrating dealing with constant games being postponed, dealing with players getting COVID and then having them sit out weeks after weeks. It gets frustrating, but seeing the players come back healthy, it's good, and hopefully by April, May, it'll slow down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but at this point in the season, we haven't seen too many season-ending injuries, which is always great to see.
Very true.
I believe Spencer Dinwiddie had one, but I think that's the only one that comes to my mind. So it's been a very solid season injury-wise, which is always good to see. But let's just get straight into it. To me, the most surprising team this year has been the Jazz and the play of Donovan Mitchell. Jazz right now sitting as the best team in the NBA. I believe they won 20 out of their last 22 games. They're 25-6 right now, but that's behind Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert playing some of their best basketball so far in their careers. Donovan Mitchell right now averaging 24.5 points per game and 5 assists, which is career highs. He's been great this season. I could definitely see, if they get the first seed, him being an MVP candidate. Rudy Gobert, after he got called out by Shaq, has been playing some of the best basketball I've ever seen him play. Gobert's been in his career one of a defensive or an offensive liability, not being able to take shots outside of like 5 feet, 10 feet. This season, he has been able to adjust and been able to take some mid-range jumpers, been able to finish inside at a higher rate, get more rebounds, play great defense. Right now, he'd be a top defensive player of the year candidate, but, still offensively, he's bringing something to the game he hasn't brought in a while, being a threat. His shooting numbers are down. His efficiency is a little down. However, he's taking more shots outside of the paint than he has in a long time, and that's just great to see.
I agree 100%. A lot of people were comparing this Jazz team to that Hawks team with Millsap and Horford, Korver.
I think it's completely different.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that this Jazz team doesn't have that one certified superstar, but a lot of people are saying that Mitchell is that star. I
I
think Mitchell's easily an all-star this year, easily.
I think he should have been an all-star starter. I don't see how he's not. Having the best record in the league, especially with coaches' votes mattering so much. You have a player with that winning mentality. I don't see how he's not an all-star starter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think this
You have
team.
to realize that. I mean,
That's
players
very
like
true.
Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, who also got snubbed. I mean, Luka Doncic, he's amazing. Big fan of the guy, but
Luka's a starter this year, correct?
yeah, he is. And
Yeah, him and Steph are starters. I think Dame
I
or
think Luka's
Donovan.
a better candidate.
I think Dame or Donovan Mitchell should have started over Luka this year, just because Luka's having kind of a down year.
He's still playing great basketball.
Oh yeah, he's playing amazing basketball, but he's just not playing to Luka caliber. He's not playing to that MVP caliber that everybody thought he would this year.
Exactly. Yeah.
But still, I don't think this team's like that Hawks team at all. You have that superstar in Donovan Mitchell, who I can confidently call a superstar at this point of his career. And you also have depth. You have Mike Conley who can play point. You have Mike Conley who's your point guard. You have Rudy Gobert who's your solid second piece. You have Jordan Clarkson off the bench who right now is running away with Sixth Man of the Year. You have such a good team around your two top guys that I don't see them. I don't see them being the Hawks. I don't see them being a first round exit.
Yeah, I mean, as of now, they play the Warriors in the playoffs. I mean, pending the play-in, but
Of course.
I think the Jazz do easily make it out of the first round. But I don't know. The playoffs are hard. The playoffs are a very different place. You never know what could happen. I mean, the Denver Nuggets came back from 3-1 twice, beating that.
I know you like that. You Nuggets fan.
Yes, big Nuggets fan, but it was great to see. But I think the Jazz are a very different team this year.
I 100% agree. Who do you think, or what team do you think is the biggest surprise this year, besides the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell?
Honestly, I think staying in the West, I think the Phoenix Suns easily have that spot of most surprising. I mean, they're 20-10 right now, and they won 9 of their last 10 games, which is phenomenal. Chris Paul's been playing amazing. Devin Booker's been doing his thing. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, I don't know how he's been playing, but I assume good.
As his fantasy owner, he could have been better. To me, I don't see the Suns as a big surprise this year. I mean, you add Chris Paul, who, as soon as you add Chris Paul, you are a win now team. The Thunder proved that last year, being they could have been a top 4 seed last year in the playoffs after having a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. Every team that adds Chris Paul, if you are a winning team, you can contribute that to Chris Paul being on your team. He's probably the most underrated player, or one of the most underrated players in the past few years. One of the best point guards of all time. You add him, you're a win now contender, and that's what he's showing with the Suns. He's not the best player on the team. Devin Booker takes that mantle, but Chris Paul being able to be that locker room guy, that locker room vet, and giving that culture to the Suns that they haven't had in all of Devin Booker's career is just great for the team. Like I said, I don't think DeAndre Ayton's playing to his potential this year. Seeing how Chris Paul made DeAndre Jordan a All NBA first team center years back, I thought he could have done the same thing with DeAndre Ayton, make him an All NBA player. But some players just don't pan out the way you think they are, which is completely understandable. But still, the Suns having an absolutely amazing year. I think they're definitely locking up a playoff spot, and we're about halfway through the season, so they're having a great year.
Exactly. But if I can move things to the East now, we got to talk about those New York Knicks. Come on now.
Yeah.
New Jersey. New Jersey, that's big. I mean, seeing the Knicks succeed is awesome. Going 6-4 in the last 10 games, which is pretty good for New York. RJ Barrett taking a big dip though in his performance. I mean, Julius Randle is, I think, guaranteed an All-Star.
He should be. He 100% should be. He's having his best year of his career, proving that he can play the point forward kind of role. But I think RJ Barrett's he's having a very similar year than he did last year. He's underperforming, but also you have to give guards a while in this league. Like people like Kyle Lowry didn't make their All-Star game until they were like about 8-9 years into their career. And now Kyle Lowry could be a Hall of Famer, which if you told somebody that 5 years into his career, they wouldn't believe you. But also,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Danny. I'm
Of
just
course,
gonna
bro.
throw in my 2 cents. I'm very excited to see Derrick Rose back on this team.
That's awesome to see.
Oh, I think everybody is.
Very unfortunate that it didn't exactly work out the first time, but I'm excited for this this second chance that he's getting performing in MSG.
Yeah, I mean, I think I believe Derrick Rose has come out and said that it's them and the Nets as the super teams now. Um,
I mean,
you
I
know,
would see the Knicks make the playoffs and then hopefully some fans in the Garden to support the Knicks. I mean, it's been years since they made the playoffs. It'd be awesome to see guys like
Yeah.
quickly go off along with D Rose, bring in some
Yeah.
veteran presence to this team. So,
like
mean,
I was about to say, Emmanuel Quickly having a great season. I believe he was drafted in the second round. But if you look at their team, not knowing how basketball is going, you would think that Obi Toppin was their second round pick and Quickly was their first.
yeah.
Quickly having a great, very surprising year. Kevin Knox having a surprisingly good year this year.
Yeah.
Coming from being statistically the worst player in the NBA his rookie year to definitely stepping it up. Austin Rivers having a great year. Mitchell Robinson still being very solid. Personally, I don't know his numbers off the top of my head.
He's injured right now,
but he's
doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got Nerlens Noel on the team, who's a great player. The Knicks have been a very surprising team, and having them being a playoff team and the NBA Finals contender, the Heat last year, they are not in the playoffs right now, which is probably another big surprise.
Yeah, they're the 10th seed right now, and you got to look out for teams like the Hornets with LaMelo Ball. I don't want to sound like SportsCenter here, but LaMelo Ball, come on, he's been shocking everyone.
I think we all know LaMelo Ball is the real deal at this point. His defense has not been there, which I don't think anybody's surprised about. But also he's proved that he is a very good quality NBA player. The jump shot is surprisingly there. He's changed his form over the past few years. The playmaking, I don't think anybody's surprised that that's there. But also the height that he has at the guard position is just you can't buy that. You got he's a tall guard who can facilitate, grab rebounds. He can play team defense, not individual defense. But if he gets that defense up, he could be one of the best players in the league one day. But I also don't want to sound like SportsCenter.
I 100% agree. I think LaMelo Ball has great chemistry with the Hornets, with Miles Bridges, Airbnb. I think they have a great connection.
Airbnb.
Rozier coming out of our fantasy league, undrafted, and someone who's very smart picked him up right after the draft, and he's been playing amazing. So,
somebody who's very smart, but also on the podcast himself, Mr. Matthew.
Yes, Matthew.
I think another surprise would be the Bucks. Probably having a worse year than you would expect. I believe they lost their past 5 games before playing the Thunder.
They're 5-5 right now.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to Giannis having a surprisingly low year this season. Him just constantly not being able to take the next step in his game might be a bad sign for the rest of his career. 2 years ago, people were like, "Yo, if he has a jump shot, he'll be the best player in the league." And then the next year, people were like, "If he has a jump shot, he'll be the best player in the league." And then coming into this year, people were like, "If he has a jump shot, he'll be the best player in the league." And the narrative is just getting old with this guy. I love Giannis. I still think he's a top 5 player in the league.
No doubt.
But still, I think he definitely needs to take another step in his game to be that guy to take his team to the playoffs. But also, he's a free agent after this year, so you never know.
You never know. The Heat, I mean, everyone rumors that, but the Heat can be a possible suitor, but you never know. It's too early to start rumors.
Yeah. But also, we're halfway into the season. Let's we can shoot off some very quick mid-season awards.
Sure.
I think MVP is a huge debate right now. The 3 suitors would currently be Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and LeBron James. Bleacher Report has LeBron as the highest vote getter right now, which I personally cannot see. They're the Lakers are the 3rd seed in the West right now. LeBron's not putting up the numbers that Jokic or Embiid are. Personally, right now, I'd give the edge to Embiid. I think Jokic is having a better season statistically wise, but I just don't see a 7th seed team getting the MVP.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, actually?
No.
As a Thunder fan, what seed were you guys when Westbrook won the MVP?
6th.
Yeah, I mean, Westbrook's numbers were like actually insane. So it was like a no-brainer he got MVP. But I mean, the situation for Nikola Jokic, I don't think his numbers are like Westbrook type season. I
Oh,
think
they're very close. He's not averaging a 30-point triple double, but he's averaging, I believe it's about 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. And 9 assists as a center is absolutely crazy.
oh, that's crazy, 100%.
But also he's one of the best facilitators in the league. I think he's having a better statistical season than Joel Embiid at this point. But Joel Embiid being the number 1 seed in the East is definitely giving him that edge.
100%. Winning matters, and MVP situation, I think the team with a better record, especially being a first seed, I think it's easily Joel Embiid right now.
If my vote was being counted, I would probably be voting for Joel Embiid.
All right, cool. I'm glad we all agree. Something we might not agree on is Rookie of the Year. I think this one, as of right now, is probably between LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, and Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton having an absolutely
left out Anthony Edwards there.
Anthony Edwards statistically is not having a great season, especially coming off the number 1 pick. He does have the best dunk I probably have ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, they did take a little bit of time to bring him into that starting lineup. I think Anthony Edwards has a great future planned ahead of him.
Oh, 100% agree.
Minnesota Timberwolves are just a cluster of, I don't know what's going on over there. They're 7-24. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. I mean,
yeah. Anthony Edwards is averaging very solid stats, 14 points, 3.5 boards, and 2.5 assists, but also him shooting, I believe 37% from the field is just not good. That probably just takes him out of the conversation for
a whole half of the NBA to watch. So I think Edwards is going to step it up. I think he's going to be that, if not first, I think he's going to be that second spot in Rob.
I 100% agree, but we're not talking about the whole season. We're talking about mid-season right now, who is Rookie of the Year, and I would go with LaMelo Ball.
I would agree with LaMelo Ball. I think, as we said before, everything he's capable of, and I think he's got that spot right now.
Averaging 14.5 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists. Your rookie year as a point guard, that's crazy. But also 43% from the field and 34.5% from 3. It's very surprising. Still getting a steal and a half a game. The 3 turnovers a game kind of hurts, but he's a rookie point guard. You kind of expect to grow in pains with him.
Exactly.
6th man of the year. I think this one's Jordan Clarkson with absolute no debate.
I agree. We talked about that before. Jordan Clarkson just did that insane hook. I think the other day he had a massive performance. Am I wrong?
Let me check his game logs real quick. But as of right now, averaging 18 points a game on 4 boards and 2 assists is absolutely crazy coming off the bench for this Utah Jazz team, who's number 1 in the league, but also shooting 38% from 3 is astronomical, and almost 45% from the field. He's definitely carrying their bench unit. He's having a great season. I wouldn't be surprised if he might get some all-star votes. I don't think he's going to make the game, but he could definitely get some nods, almost averaging close to 20 points a game.
100%.
Sticking with the Jazz, I think the coach of the year is Quinn Snyder, having surprisingly an amazing season with the team.
25-6 as of now, just out of nowhere. I think the Utah Jazz are the best team in basketball right now, and props to Quinn for being in charge of all that.
LA is still the team to beat. Both teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, still both the team to beat in the league. Lakers are defending champs, but the Jazz, as of right now, will not have to see them until the second round. The third round. So we'll see how that goes. And finally, Defensive Player of the Year. Halfway through the season, it's kind of tough to predict, but Anthony Davis is having, when healthy, a great defensive year. But you expect that from AD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis locks that spot up. But that isn't final.
Absolutely not.
Talk about the Most Improved Player of the Year.
Ooh, very true.
And I think that easily goes to my boy Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant, yeah, or Julius Randle.
It's one of the two. The Pistons are 8-22 right now, which is dead last in the East, which is terrible to see. But
it's dead last in the league.
Actually,
the Timberwolves are dead last in the league.
Yeah, the Timberwolves.
My apologies. But yeah, Jeremy Grant having an absolute amazing year right now. But also Julius Randle could make his first All-Star game. Same thing with Jeremy Grant. So I guess you never know.
Both could be all-stars. I mean, I think Julius has the better case to be an all-star over Jeremy. But,
I completely agree. I mean, the Knicks being a playoff team right now.
And being the New York Knicks. I mean,
Very true. Having the media vote is definitely going to help him a lot. But my bias wants to give Lou Dort some attention.
Yeah, Lou Dort.
Having an absolutely amazing defensive year, averaging about a steal a game, which from the wing position is pretty solid. But playing the best defense that he's played and locking up the best player on every team on any given night for a tanking team, I think he's probably going to be could be a all defensive first team this year.
100%.
But if not all defensive first team, all defensive second team, basically a lock. But that's all the time we got for basketball today. Thank you guys for listening, and we're gonna move on.
Moving from the hardwood court to ice, we've got a little bit of a situation going on between Artemi Panarin and some of his ties back home in Russia. So Artemi Panarin just recently asked for a 2-week leave of absence from the New York Rangers as his former KHL coach Andrei Nazarov claimed that Panarin got into a physical altercation with an 18-year-old Latvian woman back in 2011, knocking her to the floor after several powerful blows. Nazarov has criticized Panarin's beliefs against Russian President Vladimir Putin, and actually just last month, Panarin showed his support for the opposition leader Alexei Navalny. I'm not good in Russian. I'm not exactly fluent in it.
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah, no. Obviously with athletes, I feel like, especially with hockey, just because I feel like it's happened a lot more. I feel like, if we're going to talk about like some violence issues, I feel like any accusations that happened in like MLB, I feel like those are more true as compared to the NHL where a lot weren't. Like, honestly, Panarin's former teammate Patrick Kane on the back in, I think it was 2016. He had some rape allegations against him, and I know that they were eventually dropped because they weren't true. But this is definitely a big loss for the Rangers, especially at this point in the season. The Rangers, this is definitely not the season that the Rangers expected. They had a lot going on. Zibanejad's in a slump. Obviously, Panarin now has to take a leave of absence to go handle stuff across seas. They had some big issues within the locker room with Tony DeAngelo and Alexander Georgiev. If this was last season, where you had the Zibanejad, who's top 5 in goal scoring, I probably wouldn't be as concerned. But with the way that the Rangers are playing now, I slightly am. I definitely feel like the Rangers just need to overall pick it up. I feel like these young guns, though, they need a little bit more time. They need some more ice time to prove themselves, and we're definitely seeing that in players on the line, such as Keandre Miller and Adam Fox. Those are 2 key defensemen that the Rangers have. Capo Caco, hasn't been playing a little bit recently just because of the COVID protocol list. But if that wasn't a thing and he was playing, almost every game so far of the 82 of what would be a normally 82 game season, he would definitely be having a better season than he was last season. And I'm definitely excited to see what the future holds for him. One guy whose future with the Rangers I'm not exactly certain about would probably be head coach David Quinn. It's been about 3 years now since back in 2018 when general manager Jeff Gorton wrote that letter saying that it was time for a rebuild. And when Quinn was brought in, obviously you think that that's your guy, but it's been about 3 years now, and I feel like that's enough time to prove whether or not you are. And I just personally don't think that Quinn's done enough to show Jeff Gorton and John Davidson that he's the guy. So it really wouldn't surprise me if this offseason the Rangers are doing a little bit of head coach shopping.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening. For me, Dan, and Matt, we hope you guys have a good week, and we will be back after the next episode. You guys want to say anything before we log off?
I think we had a great first episode. Talked about a lot of stuff, so I'm excited for the next one.
No, technically it's our second. It's your first.
I'm the rookie. So.
You're the rookie. We're the vet, like Drake. All right. I think that's all. You guys.
Thank you guys again so much for listening. We will definitely be back with. And I feel like I can definitely say that we'll be back with another episode next week. I know that we said that back in July.
But don't worry about that. That was
but
a
I feel
different
like
time.
yeah, you know, it's 2021 now, new year, new us, right? So
Exactly.
Added,
definitely
December,
a
so.
new episode next week.
All right, bet. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening.